Hey guys, what's going on? It's Brandon. So I'm just leaving the Chevy store. I got back up here up north last night at like 5 a.m. and I hit the sack. I had a crazy dream last night. It caused me to want to reach out to the lady who was, I've never talked to the lady who basically, this is really sad to admit this, the lady who helped save my life, supposedly who I wrecked in her yard, my motorcycle wreck. I've never talked to her, and it's just a long story. I moved south like right after my leg got hurt and I started walking again. I moved south to Florida for a while, and anyway, so this dream I had, which I'm not going to get into, it caused me to be very compelled to reach out to her and to try to track her down. So luckily I have a mutual friend who told me that they knew the lady, and I reached back out to them. I mean, this has been 20 plus years now. So anyway, but aside from that, let's talk about car stuff. So like I said, the car had a glitch with the brakes and stuff. I had my tire pressures right yesterday, no question there. There's an active code about stabilitrack is off due to tire pressure. I'm not sure if that's because of a glitch. Not sure like what the problem is there, but that caused me to raise an interesting question. If a person were to have a tire pressure monitor that was communicating with the car, and it was outside the tire, so it was reading 0% PSI or whatever, and the one that you had in the tire wasn't in the tire, could you hypothetically get the stabilitrack? Well, let's just put it this way. If you just only had 3 out of 4 wheel tire sensors and you had the other one missing, or the other one is reading, but you'd probably have to have it reading. Okay, so it says like 0 PSI, or you have it like in some little pressurized container where it says 10 PSI or something. Can you get the stabilitrack to deactivate on these cars via cheating the tire pressure monitors? That's something to explore. And when the stabilitrack is completely disabled, what's that? Does that solve the problem, or is the EDIF problem of the EDIF locking out too much still present? Anyway, I'm just curious. I don't know if anybody knows the answer to that one. And the reason why I put up these hypotheticals and ask these questions is because you guys are helpful. Some of you are very helpful. One of the Vet Titans members on Facebook, his name is David. He's always helping me out, sending me stuff. Good dude. I put up that video about the exhaust tips. I got all these smart ass comments on my dinner video where people are like, oh, you had to ask the price of the fish. Yeah, you guys, you low IQ scumbags, the reason why you guys all eat unhealthy food is because you don't know what kind of detective work it takes to figure out when people are lying when they say that fish is wild caught instead of farm raised. For instance, if you're getting a fish dinner at a fancy restaurant in the 20s or even low 30s, it's farm raised. So if it's up in the 40s, 50s, 60s, it's wild caught. That's why I asked the question, because I was quizzing her. Because if it wasn't expensive enough, I knew she was lying about it being wild caught. But when she said it was in the 40s, I said, fine, I'll roll the dice. It was good fish. Those of you who want to, anyway, the point is, I put up that video, and because of that video, I just saved myself and or the dealership $800, because that piece, that exhaust tip piece, David was able to track it down on eBay, and I even looked on eBay and I didn't find it. I only found them for like $700-800. David tracked it down on eBay for $100 plus $20 shipping. So I was like, done, bought it. Okay, because if and when I got to turn this thing back in on a lemon, they can ding you for that kind of stuff. But big time, because they'll charge you the labor plus the repair, and they'll deduct it off the cost of the car. But anyway, so there's the stabilitrack code that's present, and what's very interesting is we never cleared the codes about, so this is important that you guys listen to what I'm about to tell you. We never cleared the U0401 code from the computer last time I came in. We were letting it ride, and today was the service appointment when I was supposed to bring it in for that quote-unquote repair. Because last time they swapped out the ECU, and then this time they, what do you call it? They were gonna look at it again. When I brought it in today, it was not present. So the car not only no longer shows it as active, but it completely deleted the code from the memory bank, which they're not supposed to do. I didn't delete it. No, they say they didn't delete it. I went on a somewhat long road trip. I went from Ohio to South Carolina, but that should not delete a code, and it did. So another thing that's weird, and I encourage you guys to keep an eye on this. I noticed that my oil life monitor says I have 85%. Now, if you're only supposed to go 7,500 miles on an oil change, and I've already gone roughly 3,000 miles since my last oil change, how is my oil life monitor at 85%? Someone reset my engine oil life monitor. I don't think it was me. I don't know that the dealer did it out of malicious intent. But if you wanted a customer to void their warranty on their car when their quote-unquote motor blows, because they still have a ticking motor, which this engine still ticks on cold starts very badly, it still ticks. A sneaky trick you could play is to reset their oil monitor. And so I noticed that last night on my drive back up, that my oil life monitor was like it had been reset right before I took off, which I didn't drive it much. I picked it up from the dealership and drove it straight to South Carolina, the north side of South Carolina and back. So it's like it had been reset right before I left for my trip. So the point is, make sure you guys keep an eye on that. If it doesn't make sense where it's at, even if it's just an accident, somebody pushes that button. Because that display was up on my dash when I got in the car from the dealership. That display was up. In hindsight, I think that somebody accidentally reset that. They were pushing buttons. It could have just been one of the lot boys driving the car in and out of the dealership. I mentioned to the dealership about the exhaust tip. I said, you know what? I found the part on eBay for 120 bucks. Next time we have the back end of the car off the car, let's utilize that moment to put this thing on, to swap it on. And to me, that's us splitting the cost on it. That's you guys taking care of the labor, me taking care of the part, and call it a day. You know, I'm not. So I walked around the dealership looking for what they could have ran into. I only found one thing. It was on the outside of one of the other buildings. There's like a little hose hydrant thingy that stuck out. It's a very peculiar shape, the way the indent is made. It's not like a Reese hitch did it, because a Reese hitch would have hit other places instead of just that one spot on the exhaust tip. The other thing that I realized it could be is they could have had one of the racks down, but kind of up, and they could have backed into one of the arms of the racks when they were backing it into a spot or turning around in the service department. The other thing it could be is it could have been they had the back end of the car off when they replaced the ECU, but I don't understand how you'd put that severe of an indent into the exhaust tip even if you drop the thing. I think it had to be on the car. There had to be weight behind it to do this level of an indent. With that said, there was another Corvette that was always being parked with it. Another thing that could have done it is those, what do you call it, those tow hooks that people have sticking out of the front of their cars. I think that's about the exact height to where it would get it. But as far as somebody with a Reese hitch getting into me at the grocery store, I don't think that was it. But neither here nor there. I was really nice to the dealership. I said, I don't know who did it. You know, I just knew it wasn't there before. But for 120 bucks, I'm not trying to make an enemy. So David is the one who found that on eBay for 120 bucks. Somebody took it off their car. Thank God. Brand new piece, take off. So really thankful for David. Shout out to David for helping me out there. Anyway, I don't know what else to tell you. That's a long enough video, I think. This car had a brake glitch and there's no codes about that. It was doing all kinds of weird shit. It's not the typical ABS. They did something else. Could it have been the disabled stabilitrack? Potentially, that's more possible. It wasn't regular ABS. What the car did was nuts, okay? It took away my brakes for a minute, and it wasn't the ABS. It took them away, and then when it came back, the car got all squirrely. I mean, it was weird. And my tire pressures through the mountains were perfect. I was pulling over constantly and getting them perfect. So the thing should not have been complaining about tire pressure. All right, see ya.